Okay, so it's a good thing that the government of today is proactive in their thoughts towards changing the economic fortunes of Enugu State, right? But I want to say a number of things, right? Any investor, whether foreign or local, would have to consider a number of things, before deciding to go and invest in a particular locality or region, right? Now, one of those things that investors look at is what we call gross national income, GNI, right? They have to look at the gross national income of the country, of the region, of the people, that the business or the investment they're going to make would serve, right? So for investors, it's important that their potential customers would earn good income, right? Because really, if you're going to set up a business or you're going to invest somewhere, and the people that business is going to be serving don't earn enough money, then the business is already doomed, right? So investors will have to look at GNI. They'll have to look at income per capita. They have to look at HDI, the Human Development Index, right? Which tells of the skills of the people of that region. So if I set up a business here, will I find the required skills to work in my business and help that business grow and make profit? Because the essence of investment is profitability. And so if these are not in place, right, no investor would want to go. So
what are these measures?
They're economic indices, right? So the first one of them is GNI, the gross national income. The other one is income per capita. The other one is HDI. There are a number of other ones, but these are the major ones.
You are using huge terms.
Yeah, I define them.
Okay,
I define them.
ahead.
Income per capita is what every citizen of a country or a region earns. That's income per head. That's income per capita. Then when you talk about gross national income, it's all the income of the workers in a region or a country put together, just like you have the gross GDP. One of the first things they used to look at was the GDP, the gross domestic product, which is all the product and all the income of the country put together. That gives you the GDP, right? But these days it's not just about GDP anymore. They look at GNI, which is the gross national income, to tell them if the people they're going to be serving are earning enough. If they're earning enough, then that means the business I'm going to set up is going to prosper. If they're not earning enough, then it will be like I'm beating about the bush. So do I really want to go there? So the question should be, where are we in all of these indices? And to be honest with you, even though the government of the day is trying to do a lot to bring investment, I think the first thing should be to work on these indices and beef them up to make the state lucrative and attractive to investors. Until you do that, investors wouldn't want to come. It's already beautiful that the governor is already doing a lot to bring investors. But I think we should work on our GNI, we should work on our gross national income, we should work on our domestic GDP, right? Work on HDI. Nigeria is really lagging very low, on HDI, Human Development Index, which is a composite measure of skills, life expectancy, education, health, and all of that stuff. So when you look at HDI, you'll actually find out that even though we have thousands of universities, we're actually not churning out, professionals with skills, right? And if you don't have skills to help businesses grow, investors don't want to come. Enugu geographically has a great potential, has a great profile, right, for a state that should do well in business, right? And then the other thing, the fact that Igbos are being kicked out of Lagos now, if you know what I'm saying, the Igbos are being attacked in Lagos,
that's what it looks like. But
well,
I think the Lagos state government is.
Remember, I am private sector. I am not a government official, so I'm not going to say what Lagos State wants me to say. I'm going to say the facts, right? So I'm a private sector person. When you are attacking the people that have the most investments in the state, it clearly appears that what's going on is economic xenophobia. You're trying to kick those people out of the state, and really, it's a very wrong move for Lagos State, because what's going to happen in the next couple of years is that these investors are going to move back. So that should work in the advantage of Enugu State, right? Enugu State can cash right into that, set up industrial parks to house these people that are getting ready to return home now. Set up industrial parks, find a way to create 24-hour power. If you can create 24-hour power and effective systems of communication, create good road networks, and then liaise with all the other southeastern states and the south, to create rail lines that will cut across every southeastern state into the south all the way to an airport, right? Now it's
Onne is River State.
Yes.
Okay.
Now there's a major port there, right? And that is already seeing some export activities, but it just has not been given national status, right? I've heard a lot of people talk about Lagos being the best state in Nigeria. There's a reason Lagos appears to be the best state. It was once the capital of Nigeria and currently the economic capital of Nigeria. And so there is a conglomeration of infrastructure needed for businesses to grow. And Igbo people are traders and importers, even though I want to change that. Igbos need to become exporters, more of exporters than importers, right? Because the import drains our economy. But currently, Igbos are the major importers in Nigeria. And so they need seaports. And because the only functional seaport that has national status in this country is in Lagos, Igbos are forced to conglomerate in Lagos, right? But now you're punishing them for that. Give the Onne port national status. You'll see the Igbos return back in droves. I guarantee you. Make the Onne port, national. Give it the same status that you've given Lagos State. Igbos will return.
But is that the only place not this port can be established here?
You have one. You have one in Onne. Yes, it's been in existence. We have about three ports that can actually be used. One is Onne. The other one, I think there's a Warri port as well, right? But Onne is the next next functional one that can be used, because already, like I said, it's seen a lot of export activities. But what we want the federal government to do is to give it national status. But the federal government of Nigeria, successions of governments of Nigeria have deliberately hindered an airport from working, because they understand that when you do that, the Southeasterners will return. Because it will make more sense for them to return, right? With all the tribulation, with all the trouble they're facing in the north and the west, it's only normal for them to return if there's a seaport through which they can do their activities. So what I want the state government to do is to liaise with all the other four eastern states with the south, form a bloc, and approach the federal government as a bloc with an economic agenda. And tops on that economic agenda has to be open up the seaport, right? But before that is done, they have to prepare and set up a rail line that cuts across, like I was saying, that cuts across the 5 eastern states and travels all the way to the south and ends up at the Onne port. What that does for us is that we will have a port through which we can do the importation. But the future of the southeast is a southeast that is able to export goods. That is the future. The future of Southeast economy depends on export, and that is what I am doing. I've been doing it for a couple of years to preach the export message, to let the Igbos understand that where the money is export, right? And when we are able to do that, then we will have rail lines that will take goods that are going out from all the southeastern states straight to the port. Now, if we have need to import anything, there's a seaport right there through which we can do it, and those goods will also travel through the rail lines that have been set up, for the distribution of goods. When you can do that, then you would have already set up a southeast and an Enugu state that is ready to receive investors.
All right. Okay. We will return to this conversation, but let's start from the scratch, like I suggested at the beginning of the conversation.
Yes.
And the start I'm talking about is those people who are already resident here.
Yes.
Are there business opportunities in Enugu? Are there places they should look at?
Absolutely.
Let's share with us.
Absolutely. I remember sometime last year we were discussing, I was telling you that I see billions on the street of Enugu. Yeah. But unfortunately, lots of Enugu residents don't see that. Now, there's a mentality, there's a mindset that an average Nigerian, average African has, and that is go to school, come out, find a job, right? And millions of Igbo people, millions of Nigerians think that's the only way to survive. But I think perhaps actually that impression was created by our fathers, and let me tell you how that happened. Now, when our fathers went to school and grabbed your own money in the export business, now, that's why I'm telling the Igbos who are dependent on doing the business of importation, you're wasting your time. You're working for the bank. You're slaving for the bank, because the bank will not give you loan for less than 30%, right? And after you've done all the business and you've made the money, you're giving a large chunk of that money back to the bank. But with export business, the export buyer finances the export. All you need to spend money on is to find the export buyer. And if you have skills, you don't even need to spend money on finding the export buyer. But the most important thing is to find the export buyer who places an order of 1, 2, 3 containers. And now he gives you an LC, what we call a letter of credit. With that letter of credit, any bank in Nigeria that is serious will finance that export. You're not spending a dime of your own money. And you're shipping these containers to the buyer overseas. And this buyer releases the money immediately he receives the container in US dollars, in euro or pounds, into your domiciliary account in Nigeria. And Ngozi, we're talking about selling yam for 1,500. Now, a tuber of yam that you export can sell for as much as 5,500 or 6,000 for a piece, because you're selling that in dollars. Imagine if you sell a tuber of yam for $10. How much is that already? That's about $10,000. So that's about 10,000 naira. So imagine you ship a container of yam to a buyer overseas at $10 a piece or at $5 a piece. You're already making much more than any trader can actually sell yam in Nigeria here. So you're struggling because the local buyer has a stagnant income. Minimum wage is still at 30,000. And so the problem that businesses have, this is why GSK has shut down. This is why Glasgow Smith.
Yeah, because I was also going to talk about that. If we are talking about ease of doing business
yes.
in Enugu and in Nigeria, and we see foreign companies
shutting down.
It's becoming worrisome.
It's worrisome. And the reason is this. This is why you must become an exporter today. The reason is this. The average Nigerian income earner earns 30,000 naira when a bag of rice is selling for almost 60,000 naira. It's not feasible. So your customer shouldn't be the Nigerian worker. The Nigerian worker can afford to buy the things they used to buy. They can't buy gas anymore. They can't even buy charcoal. They can't buy bread. If Nigerians are not buying bread like they used to buy, all the bakeries that were set up to serve them are going to shut down because Nigerians are not buying. If they're not buying gas, all the companies that were catering to the gas supply are going to shut down because Nigerians are not buying. And so that means that many businesses are going to die, and as they die, they're going to lay off staff, and poverty will continue to be recycled. You as a businessman, what you need to do is start looking outward, right? Where you need to sell your goods are other countries in Europe or America, even in Africa, that have better economies than Nigeria. East Africa is a great market for Nigerian commodities. A country like Kenya is buying a lot of noodles, right? I don't want to call any brands names so that it won't be that I'm giving them free publicity. But if you take noodles and ship to Kenya, they are falling over our noodles. So you right now that is a distributor, you own a distributorship of noodles. Think about shipping that to Kenya. All you simply need to do is find somebody who can teach you export. I can do that. If you reach out to Ngozi and she reaches out to me, I can show you how to become an exporter. So take those commodities and ship them to Kenya. It doesn't have to be the US, but US is also a major buyer from Nigeria. So what I'm telling you is that Nigeria is blessed with over 1,000 exportables. Some in the agro and allied, in the agro sector, in the agricultural sector, in the solid minerals, in the textile industry. We are blessed with so many things that the world is looking for. Why don't you cash right into that? And you're telling me that there are no jobs. Who needs a job when you can become a millionaire in just 1 year doing export or farming yam or farming any other thing? The other thing I want to talk about is the concept of Igwe. Ndi Igbo are very individualistic in nature, and that's why we're not prospering. The Hausas and the Yorubas are doing better than us in that regard because they've learned how to work as a community. Imagine that you want to do a business, and investment needed for that business is 10 million. You as an individual may not have 10 million, but if you find 10 other people like you who are trustworthy, and all you all need to do is provide 1 million naira each, you found that capital. You can go into business for a couple of years, share your profit. When you have saved enough, then you can launch into that business that you've always wanted to do alone. But because we are very individualistic and selfish, we want to say, oh, my company, Hgum Limited, I set it up. No, you have to think about how to work with others, and that's where the concept of Igwe comes in. We Igbos, we must learn how to do things together. In export business, you can use that concept of Igwe. In English, it's called crowdfunding, or what Nigerians call cooperative. But I don't like the word cooperative because many Nigerians have used that to defraud federal government, take agricultural loans, and never do what they say they want to do. But you can set up a cooperative or do a crowdfunding, kind of model, and use that to finance any business. You can use that to build hotels. You can use that to set livestock farms. You can use that to do agro farms. You can use that to do industries. Find people that are thinking like you. Put little monies together. Then you find the capital that you need to make that investment and begin to make profit. So really, there are monies to be made everywhere. But the problem is that in the minds of Ndibo, we are looking for jobs, and the jobs are not there. Become a job creator so that you can employ your brother, you employ your neighbors. If we all can begin to create jobs, Enugu State will actually become a major model for the rest of Southeast and the rest of Nigeria actually to look forward to in terms of inspiration.
All right, Tony, thank you for taking us through. I almost forgot it was an interview section. I could listen on and on.
Yeah.
I'm sure that our listener are benefiting. Our listener is benefiting from the ideas you're sharing with us this morning. The year is still nascent.
Yeah.
You can, make that change today and quit blaming everyone and not yourself.
That's
You
right.
have said so much about agriculture and agro production, processing, and exportation as against importation. Are there other opportunities that we can leverage on
Yes,
here in
yes,
Enugu other than
yes.
these points?
Yeah, digital skills.
Okay,
Digital skills. You as a young person that is a graduate right now or you're in school, you don't have to depend on your father or your mother to pay your school fees. You can actually make a lot of money. Now, do you know that there are young folks who are making between $10,000 monthly and $350,000 monthly? Did you hear me, Ngozi?
Yes, I did.
I said $10,000. You didn't scream.
I'm not. I'm not scared. Just mention the money. I'm going to try a lot of things.
Between $10,000 monthly and $350,000.
I've done the mental calculation. That was what I was actually
and
doing.
$350,000 monthly. Do you know what that means? That means that these young people can travel anywhere in the world, and they're not interested in going to live anywhere. Most folks, young folks, want to travel to Canada, to
The
America.
jackpot syndrome.
These young people are not interested in the jackpot thing because they're making loads of money in Nigeria and paying no taxes, right? And all they have are digital skills. So you that are listening to me right now, if you can sit down and learn about how to sell on the internet, that is digital marketing. If you can master digital marketing now, and these are skills you can master in as little as 3 months. If you can go and learn, listen to me, I'm not joking, young person, graduate, it doesn't matter if you work for the government, if you can sit down and master digital marketing in the next 3 months, I guarantee you'll be making millions this year, right? Because there are many companies in Nigeria that are looking for markets, right? And they're dependent on digital marketers to help them find buyers all over the world. And so, social media, you have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and a whole lot of other ones, right? All the customers any business needs to grow are already on social media, and there are about 5 billion, customers across these social media platforms that I have mentioned right now. Now, if you learn how to target them and sell any commodity, you will not only be able to sell commodities for yourself, but you'll also be able to sell commodities for companies that are looking for international market, and you'll be paid handsomely for that. And that's just
in places like Lagos, will start thinking home.
They must think home.
Mm-hmm. You've talked about 24-hour power supply. The current Enugu state government has promised that, and they've passed a bill to that effect. We are hoping that it will be effective. You've talked about effective system of communication. You've talked about things that the entire Southeast can come together to do, such like rail lines and the like.
Yes.
So I know that there's a role the federal government is expected to play. If you're not giving us federal character, for instance, you should think about giving us stuff like seaports, so that we can, manage our economy better. We are hoping for that day when the region will be stable enough economically and otherwise, and extend to the entire nation, where individuals can be viably productive, even here in Enugu. With all of the things we heard from the state government last year, we were so hopeful. We were waiting for the manifestation of those promises, and we hope, actually against all hopes, that will happen. Thank you, Tony Odugwe, for being on our program this morning. I hope to invite you sometime in the future to talk about something on entrepreneurship yet again. I'm
glad to be here, and I hope I'll have time to come back.
You have to find time to come back, Tony. Thank you very much. My name is Ngozika Mba, signing off this morning on Matters of the Moment.